Good afternoon and welcome back to NewsX at 12 noon. I'm Akshay Tandon. The countdown has begun. In just about an hour from now, the final list of 15, the gladiators of India who will go in for the World Cup, are to be announced. So let's go back to 2011 and figure out who was the star really of India's chase in the final at the Wankhede. Everybody remembers, of course, MS Dhoni and his final six. But what about people like Gautam Gambhir? Which of the two played under more pressure? Who built better partnerships? Have we ever been able to analyze the match conditions scientifically? From today, we will not be tied down to traditional scoring methods thanks to the Wisdom Wizard. Let's take a look at how all of this really works. In fact, for more on that, let's go across to my colleague Shobit, who's joining us with details. Shobit.
Yeah, but before we do that, let's look at some breaking news which is coming in. This is huge. The BCCI and the selectors are divided. It's a divided house on team selection, and uncertainty prevails on Jadeja, Yuvraj, Robin Uthappa, Akshar Patel and Stuart Binney. We are hearing from our sources in Bombay at the BCCI headquarters that the selectors are divided, especially over the injury of Ravindra Jadeja, and whether to go with an injured player or to leave him out completely out of the 15-member squad. This is huge news, first breaking news coming in from the selection meeting. Let me just bring in our experts. On this. Before that, let me go across to my correspondent Sumon Ray. Sumon, go ahead. What are you hearing? Uncertainty over several players, especially over Jadeja's injury.
Well, first of all, the meeting has not started as yet. The meeting will start only at 1 p.m. But having said that, some of the selectors, I can tell you that there is no unanimity on the status of Yuvraj Singh and whether Ravindra Jadeja should be included at this stage. Ravindra Jadeja has not, is yet to produce a fitness certificate, and that is very important. And this is the breaking piece of news that is that is only we have, that there is uncertainty on selection of Yuvraj Singh, Akshar Patel, Stuart Binney as well as Ravindra Jadeja. The selectors are divided. The BCCI, there is a section within BCCI who want Ravindra Jadeja despite him not giving the fitness certificate. BCCI secretary, for example, Sanjay Patel, is of the opinion that Ravindra Jadeja can produce that fitness certificate later on. That has not been the convention that the selectors have been following. So will the selectors be under pressure from BCCI? That's the big question, number one. Number two, will Stuart Binney be taken? He has not played for very long.
Sumon, stay with us. We'll go to Sumon, stay with us. Just stay with us. We'll go to Stuart Binney. Let's just focus on Ravindra Jadeja at the moment, and let me bring in our guest. Ayaz, what do you think? Should the selectors pick a man who has yet not produced his fitness certificate, or should they pick someone who's fit and ready to represent India at the World Cup?
Shobit, it begs the question, if he's not producing a certificate of fitness, how will he even be considered?
Absolutely.
You know, unless the injury is so minor that you don't need a certificate. Otherwise, there is no question of it. So I don't know whether if that's true, then obviously he is out of selection. He is out of contention.
Mr. Krishnan Swamy, your views on the matter. Should the selectors pick someone who has not yet produced a fitness certificate, or should they give him a chance to produce it later and still be on the bus to Australia?
Listen, here we are talking about Ravindra Jadeja, who may be fit before the World Cup starts, and here we are talking about a guy who hasn't even produced a fitness certificate, and the doctors actually said nothing about him at all. So I think this is actually a completely non-starter. I don't even know how Binney's name can actually figure in all the discussions, because if there's no fitness certificate, if there is, I mean, we don't even know what situation he's in, and we've already been, as I said just a little while ago, Ravindra Jadeja is likely to be fit within this week. So he could be considered, he could be taken in a provisional manner, but certainly, I mean, no go for Binney.
Well, the selectors are clearly divided at this moment. Half of them think that he can be picked even despite not producing his fitness certificate. Let's just go through his stats and see if he is a match winner. Mr. Wisdom Wizard, what do you hold for Mr. Jadeja? Is he a match winner for India? Can we risk taking him despite him not having produced a fitness certificate? I mean, can we risk such a factor given his statistics? On his day, can Jadeja win a match for India? Can we risk taking an unfit player at the moment?
Well, I'll let the experts make the call on that, but here are some striking details about him. He's been India's highest impact player since the 2011 World Cup win. He's the second highest in strike rate impact, meaning he's very restrictive as a bowler, only after Ashwin. He's India's highest impact bowler in the last 2 years. for economy, so, you know, it shows that he's in really good form. Only in the last year he has slipped a little bit and he's joined third with Ashwin in terms of impact, but in the last 2 years, if you see, and if you look at the 4 years since the last World Cup, he's been India's highest impact player.
Well, his pressure rating is really high, so he's the one to go to whenever India is under pressure, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also joined by Mr. Himanshu Chaturvedi at this moment. Himanshu, the big breaking news coming out of the selection meeting, just ahead of the selection meeting, Shumon Ray getting us this news that the selectors are divided currently over whether to pick Ravindra Jadeja in the final 15, given that the player has still not yet given his fitness certificate to the BCCI. Can we go with such a player who has not yet produced his fitness certificate, or should we pick someone else to represent India at the World Cup?
I think looking at the past records of Jadeja, I think we should still give him a chance to come to the team. Regarding the fitness, I think this medical team of BCCI has a committee on Dr. Shetty and Dr. Pace are there. I think they should be able to take a close call on it, whether he's fit enough. Does the injury is a long-lasting one? Is it recoverable before the matches start? Because we still have some time to go. We have few weeks to go. Whether the injury is so grave that he cannot come out of the injury before that, if that is the case, then medical team gives him good advice and gives us a good advice to the selector that yes, it is recoverable. Then I think Jadeja should be given the go, looking at his past performance and the recent performance.
Himanshu, just 1 second over here. Now, Jadeja is a high impact player. Do you think there's anybody in the 30 who can replace Jadeja in the squad?
I don't see, because you see, he's very good with the ball and the bat, and he's very good at the field in terms of fielding, because he's very sharp, very quick. His catch taking capacities are very outstanding. I think, you know, unless we are in a desperation, we should give him a very close call. And if we are looking at some kind of an all-rounder, I think Rasool would be a better call than Binny. I would take Rasool as a better call.
Himanshu, we'll go through the whole list later. Another huge breaking news coming in out of just ahead of the selection meeting in Bombay, that one of the selectors has confirmed or has spoken to our teammates that Ishant Sharma is a sure shot. He's a sure pick for the playing 11, and not just the 15 but a playing 11. Selectors are banking on Ishant's experience, especially in overseas conditions, given that Ishant has done exceedingly well in Australia in the previous tours as well. We remember him bowling to Ponting and his brilliant spell in Australia. Ishant Sharma is a sure pick for India. Let me just get in our experts. Ayaz Mehmet, Ishant Sharma, sure pick for you?
Well, he's in my squad, but I don't know if anybody can say for now for certain that he'll be in the playing 11, because, or even any selector, because we'll have to wait and see how the things transpire or pan out in the tri-series. Just a little word about Jadeja again, Shobit, that if the injury is so minor that everybody is convinced, the medical kind of expertise, that he's going to be fit in time in the next 5-6 days, then there is no question. But if there is doubt about his recovery, then obviously there has to be a medical certificate produced.
Right. Absolutely. Moving on to Ishant Sharma, Mr. Krishnaswamy, he hasn't really performed exceedingly well of late, but Ishant Sharma, given his experience, do you think he has to lead India's bowling attack?
Well, certainly. I mean, you know, he's the most experienced of all the Indian pace bowlers. So I would say that in most cases, unless and until if he's not fit or he's really bowling badly, then he wouldn't be in the starting 11. Right. But I think in most of the matches, I would expect him to be in the starting 11, spearheading the Indian pace attack. Because, of course, you know, when we talk about Indian bowlers not having done well in recent times, remember, we are playing actually a test series where all our bowlers have been completely ineffective. And this is going to be a 50-over game. You know, we get carried away often by when we look at T20, Test cricket and one-day cricket. Remember, all three are different formats. We require different kinds of strategies. We require 4 overs from one bowler in one format, 10 from in another format, and in another one you need, you know, kind of really, you know, what they call as, you know, workhorses. And so let's not actually look at what has happened in the series right now, but in my book, Ishant would be in the playing 11 in most cases.
All right, huge breaking in on Ravindra Jadeja coming in from Bombay. This is huge. Ravindra Jadeja may be given a 1-month grace period to produce his fitness certificate, to prove his fitness. He may be provisionally included in the squad, but with 1 month notice period to prove his fitness. Shumon Ray joins us on this huge breaking from right outside the BCCI headquarters in Bombay. Shumon, go ahead. What are you hearing from your sources?
Well, this is very important because if this 1 month grace is given, this will be for the first time. This is what the BCCI pressure does on selectors. According to rules and regulation and also convention, there is no place for anyone, any cricketer, however big he is, to be selected for a big tournament like World Cup. We have seen it in the past. What happened with Virendra Sehwag? He went to 2020 World Cup in 2009, and what we saw, he had to come back midway, halfway. In fact, he could not play even one match, and that completely disbalanced Indian fortune for the World Cup. India was derailed from the World Cup because of one reason, that he had hidden his injury. Now again, if BCCI, which had perhaps made up its mind that whether he produces that fitness certificate or not, Ravindra Jadeja should be playing, should be featuring in the playing 11 or be in the 15. So if that 1 month grace is given, this will be the first time. Whether it backfires on the Indian team or not, that will be another question.
Shubham,
Having said that, another piece of
this 1 month period leaves a very little. This 1 month period leaves a very little window for Ravindra Jadeja to really integrate with the team, doesn't it? Because the World Cup starts on 14th of February. India play their first match in the tournament 1 day later. So this 1 month period, grace period, if it is given to Ravindra Jadeja, is really putting the whole balance of the team at risk, isn't it?
Shobit, can I ask a question?
Absolutely,
please?
and also the fact that whether
Certainly.
he is chosen for the tri-series involving India, Australia and England. If he doesn't play that, then taking him will be playing with fire, because if he doesn't have any match practice, and then he is not yet fit. He has
Absolutely.
not
Ayaz Mehman wants to get in. Ayaz, you want to make a point, please quickly go ahead.
Shuman, I have a question here. It's not about what pressure BCCI brings on the selectors. It's what the tournament rules say. Can a squad or a player be announced 1 month, be given a 1 month's grace period or not? Because these are ICC tournament rules. It's nothing to do with BCCI putting pressure on its selectors or asking its player to produce the certificate or not. What does the tournament rule say?
Well, as per tournament, he can be, but it is up to the discretion of the BCCI and the team selectors. ICC has no rules as such that you cannot...
No, there is a tournament rule which says the squad has to be announced before the tri-series by the 15th. The squads have to be announced 1 month before the start of the tournament.
The squad has to be announced. According to rules and regulation and also convention, a player who doesn't give fitness certificate cannot be considered for selection. If 1 month grace is given, which will be unprecedented, then I do not think the ICC is going to barge in here or say something. But
Shuman, just a reminder, because Australia are in a similar situation with Michael Clarke. Michael Clarke is currently injured. His fitness levels are not known. Australia are very keen to play him. They are also, buying as much time as possible to get Clarke fit for the World Cup. Now, it depends whether they are also going to look for this grace period if what we are hearing about Ravindra Jadeja is also true, which is where the tournament regulations become very, very important.
Yeah, it does. I think what Shuman is saying, that Ravindra Jadeja will be included in the 15-man squad, and if he is unfit, then the BCCI may request the ICC to replace such a player at a later stage. Let me just get in Mr. Sumansi Raman on this. Suman, raging debate over Ravindra Jadeja. We are hearing that the selectors are divided whether to pick an unfit player or whether to go with a completely fit player and not hurt the balance of the team. And the latest information that we are getting is that the BCCI may give Jadeja a 1 month grace period to prove his fitness before being included in the final squad. Your views on this? Should Jadeja be included in the squad for Australia, given that he's not yet produced his fitness certificate?
No, I went through the rules, and the way I understand it is the fitness certificate is basically between the BCCI and the player.
Right.
So the BCCI is perfectly entitled in picking him for the squad, and at any point of time they can withdraw the player and replace him with another player. So that is, as far as I know, that is what the rules state.
Right.
So I think the BCCI is not violating anything at all here by selecting Ravindra Jadeja. I mean, we may have an internal debate as to whether a player who's half fit should be selected right now.
Right.
But that's a different issue. I don't think they are violating any rule. If let's assume that somebody has an injury in the practice, somebody in the final 15 has an injury in the next 20 days, maybe when they're playing the tri-series or something. they will be replaced with somebody else.
He will be replaced. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the same thing. There is no issue at all on this.
Absolutely. What this shows is that the BCCI clearly values Ravindra Jadeja. They see him as a high-impact player. They see him as a match winner, and they want to give him all chance to prove his match fitness. Mr. Krishnaswamy, if I may come to you, is there anybody in the squad who can replace Jadeja? And is the BCCI right in giving him all the time he wants to prove his fitness and integrate with the team ahead of the World Cup?
See, there are two things. You just asked, is there anyone that can replace Ravindra Jadeja? Certainly, his usefulness to the Indian team cannot be cannot be made more emphatic. But at the same time, if he's not fit, he's not fit.
Right.
I mean, no, you just have to live with it. You know, I mean, it's not as if a case that the Indian team is not going to go to the World Cup or something like that. The point is, if he's fit, he goes. If he can play, even if he can play at 90%, and sometimes like he can play only as a batsman and not as a bowler, or only as a bowler and not as a batsman, then it is for the selectors and the captain who has to marshal his resources to decide on that. That's why Dhoni is going to be on the selection. He's going to sit with the selectors or something. So I think in this grace period, I don't understand. This looks like as if somebody's not paid his taxes, so he's been given 1 extra month to pay his taxes or something. If the rules permit a change before the tournament begins, and if there is a legitimate reason to do that, I am sure that there is a committee and there are provisions within the World Cup rules for that change to happen. You certainly cannot have, suppose a team falls ill. 4 or 5 people have, kind of fall ill together. There has to be some provision for that.
Absolutely.
There is a provision.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there is a provision for that to be changed, but it has to be a legitimate reason. When you
All right,
select
legitimate
the selectors,
reason, Ravindra
have to
Jadeja
select
being given
100% fit players.
Ravindra Jadeja being given all the chances to prove his fitness, but huge, another breaking news coming in from the BCCI headquarters. This is huge again. This is a direct toss-up between Murli Vijay and Robin Uthappa. Only one slot available, and it's between these two players. Who will play as the third opener behind Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma? Will it be Murli Vijay or Robin Uthappa? That's the big question. Let me go across straight to Bombay, straight to Mumbai, straight to Shuman Ray. Shuman, go ahead. Murli Vijay or Robin Uthappa? Toss up between them?
Absolutely. This is the point I was trying to raise. In fact, there are selectors and there is no unanimity. There is a discussion that is going to happen. Some of the selectors will be talking and saying that it will be primarily. Now, both are from South. So, it should not be that much divided, but here it's divided. The selectors are not unanimous on whether to pick Murli Vijay or Robin Uthappa, but if they are picked, then they will be playing either in the opening slot or maybe one down. That's the position. They will not play in the middle order. So who is better? Judging by the current form, some of the selectors are of the opinion that Murli Vijay should be given a chance because he is now acclimatized with Australian condition. He is in form. He has scored more than 300 runs in the series and scored 2 centuries, 1 century and nearly another century. So clearly Vijay will, I will say, have an edge, but Robin Uthappa, he is a one-day type batsman.
Thank you, Suman. Stay with us, Suman. Let me just quickly bring in Himanshu Chaturvedi on this. Himanshu, Murli Vijay or Robin Uthappa, direct toss-up between them. Obviously, Murli Vijay has impressed somewhat in the test series, ongoing test series, but Robin Uthappa, ODI specialist, who do you pick between the two?
I would put Robin Uthappa any day because the kind of a go-getter is he. He can take that kind of one-day pressures. I would give him any day marks more than Murli Vijay. I mean, if it comes to a chance of an opening batsman, because it's very important for a batsman to be very aggressive. And Uthappa is a very aggressive batsman. So he should be given a much better chance over Murli Vijay any day.
All right, let me quickly bring in a caller who's called us on this. Kailash from Mumbai, go ahead. Your views on this whole discussion.
With all due respect, sir, except for 2-3 players, maybe Mr. Dhoni and Virat Kohli and one more extra, I don't find any player having on the platter of the selection committee to be that exciting. In fact, I'm sorry to say, again with all due respect, we are selecting a team for a Ranji cricket. And we are talking about World Cup, I'm sorry to say. And even Mr. Dhoni is having a sword hanging over his head. The Supreme Court IPL judgment is there, reserved. So I'm sorry to say, even after the 2011 World Cup, we have not developed a team, and we still are in a practice mode, you know. We're trying to send some people, try and error and this and that. I'm sorry to say, this is a Ranji team we are selecting.
Well, Kailash, our experts may not agree with you. Certainly, our wisdom wizard doesn't agree with you. He feels that this team has a great chance of winning the World Cup, but we'll get to that later. Let's quickly compare the stats between Robin Uthappa and Murali Vijay, and we'll see who fares better. Go ahead, very quickly about Robin Uthappa.
Sure, Robin Uthappa, to give you a perspective, he has the highest strike rate impact. And, you know, one of our experts was saying how he's aggressive, and that's borne out by the impact numbers. He has the highest strike rate impact among the batsmen. Murali Vijay doesn't have too much one-day experience, and Uthappa, especially in the recent year, last year, he has punched well above his weight, even in impact numbers. So if you look at his career average versus how he has done in the last year, he has performed well above that. So, you know, it all points to Uthappa, and we did include him in our squad.
Do we take into consideration the recent form, like Murali Vijay is in Australia at the moment? Does that affect the impact rating at all?
No, because those are different formats, and we compute impact based on formats individually.
Ayaz, yeah, quickly, one word from you.
Yeah, you know, this is something which flummoxes me about the impact index. If you look at, say, the 1983 win, I know we are going back a long way in time, your most impact player then was Mohinder Amarnath, apart from Kapil Dev, who actually, if you had taken the impact before he went into the tournament, would have fared very, very poorly, because he was hardly even in the team till maybe 12 months before that. Even in the 2011 World Cup, actually Yuvraj Singh was a marginal selection who ended up becoming the hero.
Not according to impact.
He had a good impact, yes. No,
we had pointed out that Yuvraj Singh would, in fact, be India's best player well before.
No, I'm talking of Jimmy Amarnath, who was, you know, not on anybody's horizon, but he became the player of the tournament. So, I mean, these things happen. I think Murali Vijay, I mean, there's a toss-up between him and Robin Uthappa. No, you know, I think nothing to take away from Robin Uthappa's contribution, and he's been fantastic. But current form, what I'm saying is, does matter. You know, when you get into, and you've been there for 4 months. I was on the 91-92 tour of Australia, and you could see there's a big grounds. You need guys who can hit the ball hard, big, last, you know, 40, 50 days.
But strike rate is important.
Yes, it is important.
But Vijay doesn't fare well at all, even in the tests. I mean,
you're comparing formats now, Gokul.
Well, that's the reason why you're saying he's in good form.
No, he's not played enough ODIs for us to really assess his impact index.
Exactly.
All right, form does ODI, the different formats matter. We are at the moment figuring out who the selectors are going to pick in the final 15, the 15 gladiators that will represent India in Australia and New Zealand. Can they bring back the cup? Another huge breaking news coming out of Bombay, out of the BCCI headquarters, just ahead of that huge selection meeting. And the big news is that the selectors are leaning towards pace spearhead Umesh Yadav. Umesh Yadav is likely to be in the final 15. He may even start many matches for India. Umesh Yadav, remember, is currently in the Australian team, in Australia, in the Indian team, battling that test series against Australia. Let me quickly go across to Mr. Krishnaswamy. Sir, according to you, Umesh Yadav, sure pick?
Yeah, of course. You know, he was in the 15 that I would pick. And certainly, I mean, you know, because, you see, remember, you have a paucity of pace bowlers here. We have limited options. Ishant, Umesh, Shami. I mean, these are the guys that you're going to go back again and again. Of course, we can also speak about, say, Varun Aaron. But then does Varun Aaron, I think he is going to have, if he'd be very, very lucky to get in. You know, because he's kind of, you know, he actually gives away too many runs at crucial stages, and he's not really been in great form during this series. But at the end of the day, I would say that these are guys who've spent a little bit of time now in Australia for the last couple of months now. So they are going to have an edge. And Umesh Yadav, Ishant, Bhuvaneshwar and Shami, they would be your prime fast bowlers to be in the 15. And I would, in most cases, like Ishant, I would begin with Umesh.
Yeah, Umesh was picked by the Wisdom Wizard, by Ayaz, and as well as Nayan Mongia. Let me quickly bring in a caller from Srinagar. Yes, go ahead. What are your views on India's selection? Rija, go ahead, from Srinagar.
Hello,
yes.
Good morning to you.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So, about Umesh Yadav, he's the best player. I think that he must give a chance. He must be given a chance.
He should be given a chance. Yes, that's what we are discussing. That's what exclusive breaking we are hearing from the BCCI headquarters. The selection meet is just set to start. But Shumon Ray getting us this information from Mumbai. Ayaz, Umesh Yadav, you also picked him in the squad. Does he bring in the X factor? He's the most lethal pace spearhead we have at our disposal, isn't he?
Well, he's been consistent where his pace is concerned. He's also he bowls at full length, which can be useful. He's got the ability to swing the ball late. In the Test series, he's been leaking a lot of runs, which should be a bit of a bother for the Indian think tank there. But as Krishna Swamy has been saying, those are different formats. I would keep him in the team.
We will keep him in the team. Gokul, quickly, Umesh Yadav, what can you point out from his statistics?
Yes, he's the second highest impact Indian bowler in the last 1 year. So if you talk about recent form, he's in really hot form. Second most consistent bowler in the last 1 year. Consistency is, he's been doing at least one person's job in the team. We mentioned how impact index numbers are from 0 to 5, and that means you can do up to no person's job.
So Umesh Yadav, at the bottom of our screens we are seeing is rated 2.27, his form impact. Over the last year, on his day, he performs as well as 2.27 bowlers?
Yes, that means, 2.25 bowlers, he's as good as that. And we call that a success rate, which is if you do at least one person's job in a match, you have succeeded in that match. So if you look at that, he's been India's second most consistent bowler in the last 1 year, and so it all points to him being at least in the squad.
Subramaniam joins us from Chennai. Subramaniam, go ahead, your views on India's team selection. Would you pick Umesh Yadav in your team?
To name the probables which I think, or you just want me to comment on this?
On this.
Okay. Murli Vijay will be a surprise, sir. I think Ambati Rayudu, instead of Ambati Rayudu and Shikhar Dhawan, Murli Vijay will be a surprise because he's in a good form now in Australia. And as the World Cup is going to be in Australia and New Zealand, I think Murli Vijay should be a surprise. And apart from that, I also believe that Umesh Yadav will not be a surprise. Maybe instead of Umesh Yadav, extra spinner Akshar Patel may be there.
All right. Thank you for calling it. Let me just go across to Himanshu Chaturvedi. Himanshu, would you pick Umesh Yadav in your team?
I would certainly do, but depending on how many bowlers I'll be picking up. I think I give a very close marks to Varun with Umesh because the kind of pitches we have in Australia, I think Varun could also be a good asset. But again, it also depends on how many bowlers are we taking and picking up in the squad in terms of pace bowlers and fast bowlers. So Umesh certainly has an edge in terms of statistics, but I think Varun is going to be a good break-giving bowler in the team.
All right. Given that Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Mohammad Shami are sure shots in everyone's team, Ayaz, who would you pick, Umesh Yadav or Varun Aaron, given that both are lethal in their own right way?
I would pick Umesh Yadav. I think he's got a better track record. Varun Aaron is a young bowler. He's quick. He's perhaps quicker, but he hasn't shown enough kind of control, which is what you need. The thing about ODI cricket is that even if you sometimes don't end up taking wickets, you should at least be able to control the runs.
Right.
And in which case he's been a bit of a he's been pretty expensive.
And
all right, more breaking news we are getting.
More breaking news. Ability to last the whole series or the whole championships.
All right, so I'll just ask you to hold on. Breaking news coming in from ahead of the selection meeting in Mumbai. This is exclusive information. R. Ashwin is a near certainty for the playing 15. R. Ashwin will lead India's spin attack down under, and MS Dhoni will throw him the ball whenever India is in trouble. That's what we are hearing from Shumon Ray. Let me just try and connect from Shumon. Shumon, can you hear me? Go ahead. R. Ashwin, a certainty in the squad. What are you hearing? What are your sources telling you?
Well, there was no doubt about R. Ashwin. So the question about R. Ashwin not playing or not, he will be in fact in the playing 11, and that's what the confidence of MS Dhoni has been over the last few months. Though he is not a sure shot in Test cricket, but in ODIs he has contained the runs and he has been a good bat down the order. So he has scored some useful runs as well. When it comes to the longer format of the game, he has not contributed that much or has not taken that much of wicket. So, but in a shorter format, R. Ashwin has been more or less a certainty. So it is quite certain that he will be picked for the 15, and I believe that he will be picked for the playing 11 as well.
Himanshu Chaturvedi, coming back to you quickly, R. Ashwin, will he be in your team?
Yes. Of course, because you don't have much choice. In the terms of spinners, I think Amit also stands a good chance, but with Ashwin's also ability, because at times Ashwin can be treated as an all-rounder because he bats pretty well. So in this format, you also need a bowler who can at times support down there and score some runs.
Right.
So he could be a good at the bat. So I think Ashwin is a very good choice.
Right. Gokul, very quickly, between R. Ashwin and Amit Mishra, what are your stats telling you? What is the wizard saying? Who's a better pick?
Definitely Ashwin, and he is in our squad as well, simply because he's the most restrictive bowler India has in the last year. Career-wise as well, if you look at his entire career, only Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Ravindra Jadeja fare better in terms of strike rate impact. So as someone else pointed out earlier, he either gets you wickets or he restricts the opposition. So he's definitely our pick above.
All right, Ayaz, R. Ashwin or Amit Mishra? We are hearing that R. Ashwin is likely to be picked.
I agree with Gokul and the wizard here. R. Ashwin, for the fact that he takes wickets and he also restricts runs. So I think, I mean, look, over the last couple of years or maybe 3-4 years, he's clearly established himself even more in the one-day format than Test cricket, except when we are playing at home.
Mr. Krishnaswamy, I mean, our pacers are bowlers who are leaking runs. Okay, Umesh Yadav is someone who doesn't contain well. So, is it very important for the team, for the team combination, to have someone like R. Ashwin in the team who can contain runs, who Dhoni can depend on to restrict the opposition?
See, in recent times, it's also been proven and it can be seen that, you know, spin bowlers, slow bowlers can often be of more use and be restrictive, you know, in terms of, you know, containing the runs. Here, you know, the premium is on trying to contain runs rather than take wickets. You know, here you also have to make sure that the other guys are not going to kind of run away with the score. Unlike in Test cricket, where you have to take wickets if you have to kind of win the match.
All right, very quickly.
So I think it's imperative. And I don't think there was ever any doubt about Ashwin being there in the 15. Or if you were going to play one spinner, it certainly had to be.
All right, very
Ashwin,
quickly, final breaking news coming in. The selectors are still wary of Yuvraj's inconsistency and they are divided on whether to select Yuvraj. Remember, Yuvraj was not included in the 30 probables list. Can the selectors get someone from outside the list? Ayaz, can the selectors pick Yuvraj or should they stick to the 30 list?
No, they don't need to necessarily stick to the 30 list. Those are probables.
Right.
It's not necessary that you have to choose only from them. Obviously, domestic form would also have some bearing. How much? We'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately for Yuvraj, the one-day aspect of the domestic season is already over. It's the Ranji Trophy, the longer format that he's been doing extremely well. But considering how the Indian team has fared in the Test series so far, we'll have to wait and see if that's
all right, breaking news. This is the huge breaking news we are getting. The selectors are still divided over Yuvraj Singh, over whether they can get him from outside the 30 probables list. Quickly, Mr. Wisdom Wizard, Yuvraj Singh, what does he bring to the table? A sure shot match winner, isn't he?
He has been over his career, but we must also reveal that since the World Cup of 2011, he has had the biggest dip in form. So he's played 18 matches and his impact has only been 1.13 compared to his impact before the World Cup, which was 2.66. He went in as the highest impact player into the 2011 World Cup. So if you compare him against other veterans who played in the last World Cup, are not in the reckoning right now, like Sehwag, Gambhir, none of them has had such a big dip in form since.
Shumon Ray, coming to you. Shumon Ray
selectors
joins us from outside the selection meet in Mumbai. Shumon Ray, go ahead. What are you hearing? Yuvraj Singh, will he be brought in from outside the list of 30? Are the selectors still divided? Some of them still backing Yuvraj Singh?
Absolutely, the selectors are divided, and also the North Zone selector and the Central Zone selectors, they are backing Yuvraj Singh. They have a point to make that Yuvraj Singh is a high impact player and he needs some motivation. And Australia is a sort of place where he can actually uplift his game, and when it matters the most, he can deliver. He has delivered in the past. Having said that, he is also in form. Maybe Ranji Trophy, it's a longer format of the game, but then having said that, he has scored those runs very briskly and at a fast pace. So Yuvraj Singh can be considered and has a serious chance of making it into the 15. If he is not picked in the 15, he can still be considered. He will still be under the radar of good performance. He can be later brought in if Jadeja for example, if this 1 month notice is given to him that he proves his fitness, then if he can't do that, Yuvraj Singh can be the replacement for him.
Exclusive
this is the sort
visuals
of thing that is coming out from the selectors, and selectors at the moment are divided, but some of the selectors are really, really...
Yes, we are getting visuals from have reached, so has the BCCI secretary. The meeting is about to start. Like Shumon Ray was saying, the selectors are clearly divided over whether to select Yuvraj Singh or not. Maybe it has something to do with that 1 month grace period that we were talking about, that the selectors are willing to extend to Ravindra Jadeja. Meanwhile, I've got a caller who joins me from Mumbai. Go ahead.
Yeah, so 3 quick points. Number one, I think we should have selected a team way advanced, 6 months prior to the World Cup, and allowed them to show their performance, you know. And secondly, this so much money and finance and commercialization happen. The quality of cricket is coming down. And yes, Yuvraj Singh should be there. His impact is there. And I think we are not being fair to him, you know. He has won the World Cup and we are not fair to him. Right from like 2-3 years, we are not giving him opportunities. He should be there. And the selection should have been done 6 months prior to the World Cup. The World Cup is on the door, and we are just talking about a team and this and that.
Right.
It's too late. It's too late.
Maybe form selectors have to consider form. We can't select the team 6 months in advance, given the chance that someone might dip in form and someone else might prove their credentials. Mr. Krishnaswamy, should the selectors bring in Yuvraj Singh? Should they keep him as a backup to Ravindra Jadeja, given that Jadeja has not yet given his fitness certificate?
You know, I mean, it's a very difficult question. You know, I mean, the more we argue, the more it seems like, you know, maybe Yuvraj should also be considered. You know, I certainly wouldn't have been looking at him. You know, even Ravindra Jadeja. See, you are looking at someone who can bowl and bat. And Ravindra Jadeja's usefulness comes as he's primarily a bowling all-rounder rather than a batting all-rounder, which is the case with, say, Yuvraj. Yuvraj is also a bowler, whereas in the case of Jadeja, he's also a batsman. We don't need to strengthen our batting, which is pretty strong, you know, if you look at it any which way from 1 to 6. So you need people who can restrict, people who you essentially need a bowler of the kind that Jadeja is. So if there was a toss-up between Jadeja and Yuvraj, if Jadeja was even 90% fit, as I've been repeatedly saying, I would pick Jadeja. And Yuvraj, for all the runs that he scored, I'm afraid he might have just missed the bus.
And the impact numbers definitely agree with that.
Impact numbers definitely agree with that. These are exclusive visuals. Let me once again tell our viewers, the selection meeting is set to start in Mumbai in just a few minutes, and in just a while we will get to know whether these selectors agree with the Wisden Wizards 15. We picked the 15 Wizards, the 15 gladiators, depending on their impact rating, their impact on the performances, whether they can take India across the finishing line. That is what we are trying to figure out today. The selectors reaching the headquarters. Let me go back to Shumon Ray. Shumon, in how much time does this selection meeting start in Bombay?
Well, it will start at 1 p.m. Most of the selectors have already arrived. Sandeep Patil had arrived early in the morning, but he was here to see some of the matches and talk to BCCI officials as well. Having said that, some of other selectors are also joining in. There will be an informal meeting before the actual meeting starts, and that meeting will also have MS Dhoni as a teleconference from Sydney. So this is very important. What MS Dhoni, the Indian captain, has to say. If he puts his foot down and says that I want Yuvraj Singh, he should be in, then it seals the matter, because this selection committee is also listening to the captain. And also before this all-important World Cup, I think that MS Dhoni's words will have a great impact. Whether Yuvraj Singh or Jadeja or for that matter any other player comes in or not, might be Dhoni has to say something. Dhoni's words will not be final, but his opinion will certainly matter.
The captain, yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Ayaz.
My understanding over years of watching all these things happen, I think they will first have lunch. And because, as our story has been saying, that there's been so much uncertainty and dispute over so many players, I think we might have to wait a couple of hours more before the team is announced.
Right.
And the googly I want to bowl is, has Dhoni been announced as captain already, or that's going to be part of the selection?
Well, we certainly hope that Dhoni leads the team down under. He's the World Cup winning captain. Can he bring the cup back to India? That's the big question. Well, the Wisdom Wizard picked India's 15, the top 15 impact players. What we are waiting to see is whether the selectors agree with it. And we hope that they do, because we believe that this team is certainly has got the highest chance to bring back the cup. A direct toss-up between Ravindra Jadeja and Yuvraj Singh, because this is the main talking point ahead of the selection meeting. A direct toss-up between Yuvraj Singh and Ravindra Jadeja. On paper, according to the Wisdom Wizard, who is a better player?
On paper, definitely Ravindra Jadeja. Ravindra Jadeja, to give you perspective, is one of the 4 Indians from the current 15-member squad that we are recommending, who is in an all-time highest impact list in ODI history. Yuvraj doesn't make it in that. So that's giving you some perspective. And even Akshar Patel, if Jadeja is injured, has a better impact, higher impact as an overall player than Yuvraj Singh. And like I mentioned earlier, Yuvraj Singh's form has seriously dipped since the last World Cup. In 18 matches, his impact is just over 1. So,
all right, let me quickly bring in Mr. Atul Vasan also in this discussion. Atul, selection meeting is just about to start, but who, according to you, is the one man who does not find a place in the final 15?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. I think there's a pool of 30-35 players. Everybody deserves to get in there. There's a lot of competition, but who are the best 15? You know, and there'll be a couple of close calls. And as I said earlier, in my squad, only the 15th man position is up for grabs. I don't think so. There'll be a lot of surprises or bombs, as some people might call them. But the question is whether selectors will go for a second wicket-keeper or a part-time wicket-keeper in Robin Uthappa, or a second left-hand batting all-rounder in Akshar Patel. And these are the 2 questions. I think there'll be big points in the meeting.
All right, another huge breaking news coming in out of the selection meeting. Let's just take a look at this. No chance of while the selectors may be mulling Yuvraj Singh's re-entry into the final 15, there is no chance of Virender Sehwag or any of the other top 5 to make it back into the Indian squad. Well, does this really come as a surprise? Ayaz Memon, does this really come as a surprise that Virender Sehwag doesn't find a place in the final 15?
Well, I mean, it's not a surprise to the extent that he's not been part of the team for so long. And there have been a lot of players who've actually made their cut, made their mark, especially young guys like Rahane and, Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, who's been in great form as an opening batsman. So, but, at the back of your mind, you always feel that somebody of the brilliance and the genius of a Viru Sehwag, if he was there, right. It could add a lot of edge to the team. Alas, he's not been part of the team for the last year and a half. Very difficult to pick him. Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. But the selectors continue to mull over whether to include Yuvraj Singh. No chance and no place for Virender Sehwag. Let me quickly go across to Mr. Suman C. Raman, who joins us on the phone line. Suman, UV yes, Sehwag no. What are your views?
Well, Sehwag, pretty much wasn't in the running at all as far as this particular World Cup team was concerned. But Yuvraj Singh, I think the issue of the injury to Jadeja is what really has opened up a kind of window of opportunity for Yuvraj. I think if Jadeja had been fully fit, I think people were not even contemplating bringing Yuvraj Singh back. And I don't think we should get too carried away with 3, consecutive hundreds in the Ranji Trophy in domestic conditions. Because his game has really fallen off over the last 1 year. Yes, if Jadeja was not fit, then who would be a backup? Definitely Yuvraj Singh should have been into the mix. But if Jadeja is fit, then there's no way he would have found himself in the team. And Sehwag obviously was never in the running. I mean, once the selectors kept him out of the 30, then there was no way he was going to make it into the 15.
Well, no way for Sehwag to come back. Let me quickly go across to Atul Vasan once again. Atul, the important question that we are asking, are the selectors getting cold feet, given that these 30 probables are all youngsters? Are they getting cold feet by even mulling the name of Yuvraj Singh and even thinking about getting him back into the Indian squad?
Not really. I think Indian cricket has matured over the last 3-4 seasons. Earlier we used to go a lot by emotional connect and when the past performances of legends, and probably there was a big name factor there, and there was a lot of interstate politics and the power equations on the board that used to influence the team selections at times. But I think we have moved on from there, and we are close to what Australian system has always been about. you know, you get a tap on your shoulder, you move ahead. And even Ricky Ponting got the tap, Steve Waugh got the tap. And, you know, there's a succession plan. So I think they're mature enough to not just be swayed by emotion and keep on throwing these big names in the mix again, and rather go by what the players have been doing in the past 6-8 months, the last season, the domestic cricket, and overall picture. And most of the players in the pool have been playing in either of the formats, you know, in all three formats. So selectors have learned the lesson of not jumping in and picking up players, getting excited, seeing them in IPL and pitchforking them in the one-dayers. We saw, you know, that was a big egg on the face at times. So they have become well-rounded in the approach, where domestic cricket also accounts along with what IPL impact is there.
All right, breaking news coming in. The selection meeting is just set to start. All the selectors have reached the BCCI headquarters. Shumon Ray, go ahead. When can we expect this meeting to start, and when can we expect the final 15? All 5 selectors have reached the BCCI headquarters. Go ahead with your information.
Well, all the selectors have reached, and it's going to start any moment. Officially, it should start at 1 p.m. That's been announced. I agree with Ayaz, what he said, that it will take some time, because there will be discussions. This is not just for World Cup, but also for the Tri-Series. Each and every player has to be evaluated, and that is very important. Though we have been talking about the core team, that is almost there, but there will be again rethink on each of the players, what each of these players add value to the game, and how they will be impact players in the World Cup.
All right. We're getting breaking news. We're getting breaking news at this moment. Let me just bring in my colleague Rishabh. Rishabh, go ahead.
Okay, we've got the list. That has come out. Rohit Sharma, #1 pick. Ajinkya Rahane, Virat Kohli, Ambati Rayudu, Suresh Raina, MS Dhoni, Ravindra Jadeja, R. Ashwin, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, Murli Vijay, Akshar Patel and Mohit Sharma. We've got another probable Shikhar Dhawan that has been put as a slash in the list that has just been released. This has come straight from our sources within the selectors meeting. That is really the last choice between Murli Vijay and Shikhar Dhawan. Let me repeat the names again. Rohit Sharma, Ajinkya Rahane, Virat Kohli, Ambati Rayudu, Suresh Raina, MS Dhoni, Ravindra Jadeja, R. Ashwin, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Sami, Ishant Sharma, Umesh Yadav, either Murli or Shikhar. That's the last debate they are having. Akshar Patel and Mohit Sharma. I'll leave it to you, Shobit.
All right, huge breaking news coming in at this moment. Murli Vijay is a more likely pick than Shikhar Dhawan. Let me just bring in our experts over here. Ayaz Menon, go ahead. Murli Vijay or Shikhar Dhawan? That's a big question mark over here, isn't it?
Well, I had both in my squad, but as I've been saying all morning and yesterday, I've been very bullish about Murli Vijay, because I think he's been in terrific form. He's probably in the form of his life that can't be ignored. And over the years, he's shown himself to be versatile. He's a very adaptable player. So it would have been very difficult to ignore him. Now, whether he should replace Shikhar Dhawan, well, we'll have to wait and see.
The huge breaking news coming in. Mr. Sumansi Raman, go ahead. Mohit Sharma, would he have found a place in your team?
Yeah. Okay, yesterday on my Facebook page, I had put up the squad and I had left out Shikhar Dhawan, and there were a huge number of people who had commented and saying what is wrong. I mean, obviously Dhawan is going to be part of the team. The logic that I think that the selectors could take is, and prefer Murli Vijay, is obviously A, he's the informed batsman. Dhawan has been having a torrid time here. And the second part is, if you have an opening combination of Dhawan and Rohit Sharma, you are effectively going into a World Cup with two batsmen completely struggling for form. And that puts enormous pressure on Virat Kohli. That means then you then have to move Ajinkya Rahane into the opening slot and push Rohit Sharma down the order. He hasn't looked very comfortable away from home playing down the order. So it sort of messes up the composition of the team. You have Murli Vijay as a backup, maybe open with Rahane and Rohit as one option. And that means that it becomes difficult to find a place for Dhawan. So two out-of-form openers in a World Cup, struggling in conditions away from home, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So if the selectors do drop Shikhar Dhawan, I can see why they're dropping him.
Mr. Krishnaswamy, Murli Vijay, Shikhar Dhawan, quick talking point over here.
Shobit, we've got Anshuman Gaikwad.
Yes,
Krishnaswamy is at lead.
Absolutely. So Mr. Gaikwad, I should have come to you earlier, but Murli Vijay or Shikhar Dhawan, the big talking point ahead of after this selection meeting, the information that we are getting, it's a direct toss-up between these two opening batsmen. Who would have you picked?
Well, both have got their own identities, to be very frank. You look at Shikhar Dhawan, who is an aggressive player, That's what you need, you know, in a one-day cricket. But Murli, I think Murli Vijay is the one who's probably done so well all throughout the tour.
Right.
And, you know, he's got the experience, got the feel of the wickets, he's got the feel of everything around. And I feel that, you know, he's technically sound, that you need somebody at the top who can consolidate innings, not lose wickets, and, you know, make a platform for the middle order, the batsmen to come and hold on to one end. Now, this is where we have been having problems. They've been losing early wickets, and that's where the problem is. Now, you get a good start, half job is done. And that's where I feel Murli would be a good, but he has been branded as probably, you know, a test player.
Right.
Because, you know, you take the example of Rahul Dravid. You know, he was also branded as a test player. I was the coach of the Indian team, and I requested the selectors that time, tried to convince them, and ultimately got convinced because there are two teams going. One was going to Commonwealth, the other was going to Canada. And that's where Rahul was included. And I believe personally, with my experience, anybody who's got good, solid technique, he's technically sound, I think he can be a good one-day player, you know, because, you know, it's only a question of improvisation. When you look at IPL 1 and IPL 7, the IPL 1, the kind of shots everyone played, and today, in IPL, what shots they're playing, they got back to cricketing shots. So that's what I feel, that Murli could be useful.
Murli could be useful. Mr. Wisdom Wizard, Murli Vijay or Shikhar Dhawan, direct toss-up between them, who would be in the final 15?
Well, going by impact numbers, there is not even a question here. Shikhar Dhawan is miles above Murli Vijay in his overall impact. He's been, in fact, like I've been saying before, India's highest impact batsman in the last 4 years. So that gives you some perspective. India has won the Champions Trophy based on his high impact performances. And
let me go across my colleague Shumon Ray, who joins us from outside the BCCI headquarters. Shumon Ray, go ahead. Obviously the big question, Murli Vijay or Shikhar Dhawan?
Well, I would say both might be taken. Shikhar Dhawan, there is no question about, there is no uncertainty over Shikhar Dhawan. Whether Murli Vijay is taken ahead of other players like Robin Uthappa, that's the big question. Shikhar Dhawan is a certainty. The tentative list that we have speaks about 8 to 9 confirmed players, and these players, make no mistake, have been there for quite some time. They have been featuring not only in the ODI side, 2020 side, but also in the Test side as well. So these are the players we can say for sure they will be featuring in the selectors list. Having said that, there is a question mark about Murli Vijay. Some of the selectors feel that Murli Vijay is a bit slow in his approach and is not good enough for the ODI cricket. But having said that, in the matches that we have seen, Murli Vijay in fact took over Virat Kohli in many of the scorings. So clearly Murli Vijay has improved his game. He is scoring the runs briskly. His average is very good in the series, and I have a hinge that Murli Vijay might have a chance because some of the selectors are going for him.
Let me bring in Mr. Gaikwad again. Mr. Gaikwad, the big question mark was over Ravindra Jadeja. He has not yet produced his fitness certificate, but according to the tentative list that we have at the moment, Jadeja has been included.
Well, you know, he's a utility player. There's no question, and he's proved over time and again. But fitness is a big thing. You're looking at World Cup. It's not something that you're playing a tri-series.
Right.
Now, going into a big competition, you have to have 110% fitness. Now, we don't know really how serious is the injury and how much time it's going to take. But if at all he is very close to recovery, I'm sure he'll be there in the list.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Ayaz, coming back to you, Mohit Sharma, are you surprised by his selection? This is just a tentative list, what our sources are telling us. But Mohit Sharma, would he have been in your list?
Well, to be honest, he didn't figure in my list. In fact, he didn't kind of register in my mind when I was giving my list of names. But I know for one thing that Dhoni lays a lot of store by his, his ability to bowl 10 economical overs. He's very accurate. He's more controlled than some of the other bowlers that we've talked about. So he could be the dark horse, but we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see over that. Mr. Suman C. Raman, coming quickly to you. Mohit Sharma, quick word on Mohit Sharma. He's in the tentative list that we have, what our sources are telling us at this moment. Would you have picked him?
No, I think Ayaz is right. I think Dhoni has a lot of confidence in certain players. So for a classic example would be Ravindra Jadeja. I mean, even if Jadeja was possibly not 100% fit, I mean, if given an option, given a choice, Dhoni would probably want him in the team. So you've got these kind of players whom the captain has a gut feel, has has this instinct that they will deliver whenever he requires it. And Mohit Sharma is another of those players whom Dhoni places a lot of trust. I mean, they were obviously teammates in Chennai Super Kings, and also the fact that he does bowl the death overs much better than a lot of others. So I think that has given Dhoni a bit of a feeling that Mohit should be there. Again, Stuart Binney is also, I would have thought, would have been in the equation mixed somewhere, simply because of his better capability with the bat. He's more in the all-rounder mold, so maybe there could be a toss-up between Stuart Binney and Mohit Sharma, but if your sources are saying Mohit is probably ahead, he's probably ahead. That's maybe because Dhoni prefers him.
Mr. Krishnaswamy, Akshar Patel, would you have picked him?
So, Shobit, Krishnaswamy is...
All right, I asked that question to you, then Akshar Patel, would you have picked him?
I mean, we've come around debating this earlier, that if Jadeja is not there, then Akshar Patel gets a very firm look in. But if Jadeja is there, for whatever reason, whether on a period of grace or subject to his fitness and whatever else, then in my opinion, he would not feature.
Himanshu Chaturvedi, coming back to you, what about our bowling attack? Ishant Sharma, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Shami, impressed by them, or do you think Umesh Yadav and Varun Aaron should have also found a place in India's 15? All right, Umesh Yadav's name is there. Umesh Yadav's name is also there. What about Varun Aaron?
Umesh Yadav is there.
What about Varun Aaron?
I would give a lot of marks to Varun Aaron. He should have been there. And going back to the previous question about the all-rounder, what you're talking about, the Akshar Patel, I think Akshar has a very good record. And his average was 20.28 with just an economy rate of 4.49. So I think Akshar would be a very good choice in terms of giving an all-rounder bowler, if you're looking at. But coming back to this, I think Varun Aaron still should get a chance, and I will not be surprised that if he figures in the list in the finally when it is coming out. We are still just guessing here, but I think he should be there, looking at his form.
Quickly going through the list once again: Rohit Sharma, Murli Vijay / Shikhar Dhawan, Rahane Raidu, Raina, Kohli, Dhoni, Ashwin, Akshar Patel, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma, Mohit Sharma, Ravindra Jadeja and Umesh Yadav. Mr. Wizard, who's the X factor in this team?
Definitely Akshar Patel.
Akshar Patel is
he's been India's highest impact performer in the last year.
I asked one quick word, who's the X factor in this team?
In this team, obviously, if the selection is what you put out, obviously the surprise element, the biggest one is Mohit Sharma.
Mohit Sharma. Mr. Gaikwad, one quick word. Can this team, if this list is correct, can this team win the World Cup and bring back the cup to India?
Very tricky question, but since you're playing in Australia and New Zealand, I would say yes, there's a good chance because the team is well balanced. But the fact remains is the people who are going to contribute have to be the same. Like you think about 1983 World Cup. 1983 World Cup, the boys just, contributed, in small quantities, whether batting or bowling. And it was joint effort. So if they do that...
Thank you so much. I'll just have to cut you across. Really sorry, we're just running out of time. We'll have to end it at that. But stay tuned to NewsX. We'll keep on bringing the latest updates right from the BCCI headquarters after this break.